we go. We're live. What's going on, everybody? You are now tuned into Planetary HQ, the planetary headquarters for all of your celestial information. And today, we got a juicy one for you. We're talking about John Keely. Is he the real deal, or is he a fraud? I'm excited to get into this. I've been reading about him since I was young. I don't know if I know too much about him, but he is a legend. He is up there with Tesla. He is up there with Thomas Townsend Brown. And I'm just excited to go into his story. So, John Ernst Worrell Keely. To some, he was a fraud. To others, a visionary inventor, 100 years ahead of his time. In the late 1800s, Keely built massive machines with unbelievable precision. Contraptions that seemed to run on sound, vibration, and a mysterious force he called etheric energy. He demonstrated them publicly in front of investors, journalists, and engineers. The problem was, nobody really understood what they were seeing. His explanations were buried in obscure jargon, and his results defied the science of his day. History eventually labeled him a con artist, but here's the twist. He was never caught in an actual fraud. No rigged machine was ever exposed during his lifetime, and when you look closer at the photographs of his devices, at his technical notes, at contemporary reports, the story gets murkier. Did Keely stumble on something real? Or was it all smoke and mirrors cleverly hidden in plain sight? Today, we're diving deep into the mystery of John Keely, a man who straddled the line between dreamer and deceiver, metaphysics and mechanics. Was he chasing fantasy? Or did he glimpse a form of energy science that still has not been explained? Let's find out today, and I am eager to ingest this mysterious sandwich of John Keely. Woo! You already know who I am. D-Bake, X-D-Bake the Wise on Instagram. Joined by my brothers Magma Sloth and Tay Chilla. Got that hot intro song coming at you. Fucking let it go right there, baby. I like Tay Chilla's background. He's out there in the middle of nowhere doing the live stream, tuning in from the boondocks. Planetary HQ, just doing some recon out in the sticks. Magma Sloth, Tay Chilla, what it do? You actually, not you guys. Magma, you're the one that brought this up. You're like, you've been talking about it. We need to talk about Keely. We need to talk about Keely. So we're talking about Keely. You wanna? Give us a little intro about this.
I've been low-key obsessed with this for years now. The story of John Worrell Keely, it's very mysterious because throughout his lifetime, through the mid-1800s, he obsessively just built these engines. He had this idea in his mind that sound can affect reality. After seeing the windows shake while he played the church organ, he built a little acoustic turbine, which we'll get into, as a kid, just out of seashells that he filed down. And he kind of obsessed over this, trying to unlock the mysteries of sound, acoustic resonance, and damping.
Wait,
so
did you say he
life,
made some like acoustic levitation device out of seashells?
It wasn't a levitation device, but it was a turbine that would spin around when you played a note through the resonance, pushing air out of these shells.
About Edgar Casey and the guy who made not Edgar Casey, sorry, the guy who made Coral Castle.
The Coral Castle.
Coral Castle?
Ed
Leedskalin, something like that. Yeah. He used like coral and acoustics to levitate. Wow, that's okay. The plot thickens. I like it.
It's a fascinating story. He got investment from this lady, Clara Bloomfield Moore, who was really into what he was doing. She was also really into theosophy and the metaphysical. He got a lot of funding. He would end up pitching this to investors, continue to get funding. But as he got later in his life, throughout the 1860s on into the 1870s, before he passed away, he wasn't able to create a commercially viable product. Then he died, passed it on to his apprentice, who wasn't well trained on all of his complex organ builder jargon, and he was basically labeled a fraud afterward. Interestingly, the Theosophical Society raided his lab, at least this is rumored, took all of his equipment, and today there's only a few surviving engines left. But he built hundreds of engines. He had this spirit about him where he would just build some over and over and over until it worked. the more you dive into this story, the more compelling it is. I really believe he was onto something.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, Mysterious Universe. Shout out to Mysterious Universe. Ben and Aaron, awesome lock holding it down over there, and they're about to actually hand the torch off. So I'm interested to see who they're going to pick for that. But they've been talking about Keely for a long time, and I've never done a full deep dive. I do know that he is considered a fraud. You Google his name, and the first 30 pages are he's a fraud, he's a hoaxer, da 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 da. Even the AI says straight up he's a fraud. And it's almost like are is a certain someone programming the AI or the programming the Google search
Uh,
page to make it seem like that because maybe they're trying to cover up his work a little bit like Thomas Townsend Brown, like that kind of stuff.
mm,
Same with
mm-hmm.
Nikolai Tesla. All of their documents get taken, and then they're kind of like, no, he was a quack. He was a woo-woo scientist that never made
Yep.
an invention to save his own bone. But then you look deeper, and you're like, there's something here. They're always messing with like acoustic beams, acoustic levitation, laser, free energy, all these like mystical cosmic technologies that everybody's so interested in. These guys are saying it's facts. So if the government realize that this is a technology that's weaponizable, that is has military application, then obviously they don't want their foes to know that. So they're going to say, no, these are forgeries, these are hoax, these is quack, divert attention. It's espionage 101, I guess. But I'm eager to dive into it. So we want to just start
Yeah,
reading.
yeah. Let's do it. So I had found this website a few years back by Hans von Leven. This really stood out to me as something special. He wrote up a very concise overview of what he believes is the scientific principles behind Keely's work, why he thinks it's actually legit, and then what ultimately happened to it. Um, this website, it's one of those really old websites. It's starting to become lost to time, just like Keely's work. The current website is kind of broken. Pages take forever to load or won't load.
Okay.
I do have backups as PDF files of all the pages, but I was able to find on Wayback Machine a working copy of the website with all the images and everything. So this will be a great read. We should be able to get through it in an episode. I'm pumped up. I've been wanting to read this for a while.
You want to start it off? I think we lost
Yeah,
Tay Chilla into the Taco Bell Matrix because he's actually en route from a conference at the moment and he got a long
that's
drive,
right.
but he's joining us and he has to refuel that physical mechanism with some, God given Taco Bell.
Nothing better.
We like to call it the taco
Yeah.
shits where I come from. But
You want me to share my screen here?
yeah, you got something to share?
Just this page, unless you got it up.
That's cool. Oh, I have that page, the one that you sent in the link, a little bit about myself. That part,
Yeah,
Keely
so
tech at the top.
I don't
I
have
got
to
it up.
share it. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, the
Stop
viewers
streaming.
want
All
to see
right.
it, so.
A bit about myself, and this is Hans von Leven. I was born in 1939 in a small rural town in Germany. My family was not wealthy, though we were not poor by any stretch of the imagination. I hold a degree in mechanical engineering, majoring in physics. I do not want to give my credentials here. Judge me by my work, not by what you think my professional status might be. Now retired, I live in Sydney, Australia, where I have been for many years. In the
Leaving.
early
We got a big
1970s,
echo coming from you.
yeah, yeah, I am hearing that. Uh, um, yeah, there we go.
That
Now
was
retired, I
I was
live in
just listening
Sydney.
to the stream again, but it wasn't in the stream. Only you guys could hear that. I muted myself on OBS.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh,
But I
good,
forgot
good.
to mute myself in Discord, so they just hear you guys going, "What's that? What's that?
Huh? Huh?
Whatever."
Okay.
Sounds
Now
good. Sounds
retired, I
good.
live in
Levels sound good. Sorry.
good. Now retired, I live in Sydney, Australia, where I've been for many years. In the early 1970s, I read Clara Bloomfield Moore's book about Keely. I was instantly intrigued. The various accounts of Keely and his achievements seemed to be full of contradictions. Um, on one hand, he appears to be some metaphysical dreamer, yet the machines he built and the methodical thoroughness with which he conducted his experiments belie this. Having read much of Clara Bloomfield Moore's writings, she strikes me as a silly woman with too much education and too much money. incapable of having an original thought of her own, the type that Helena Blavatsky cultivated and filled with her peculiar brand of metaphysical crap. To get to know Keely as a man and technician meant I had to bypass much of her account and rely on things he said, on the evidence provided by a number of photographs of his devices, as well as contemporary newspaper articles. Having a reasonable grounding in technical and scientific subjects, as well as musical theory, I judged the man as an honest researcher trying to come to grips with problems and phenomena well outside of the scientific understanding of his time, and having to work with comparatively primitive research instruments barely suitable for the task he had set himself. That he achieved something at all is staggering. But did he? Keely built a bewildering array of massive machines with almost unbelievable precision. He demonstrated his devices in his laboratory and on exhibitions repeatedly. No one understood how they worked, and his explanations, couched in an obscure terminology, only helped to spread the confusion. History has labeled him a fraud, though he was never caught doing anything fraudulent. I have endeavored to look at his machines in the light of today's understanding of science, paying scant attention to his theories and his metaphysical model. Working mainly with photographs and descriptions of his machines, his stated observations of unexplained phenomena, and his account of technical difficulties met on the way, I've come up with some startling revelations um, that seem to indicate that Keely's technology is real. I leave it for you to judge. The following paper is still very much work in progress, and there is much to be done yet. Any comments, criticisms, and suggestions are welcome. But no more talk. Here it is. So then you can click that link to proceed. Um, I'll actually share my screen real quick just to show you a little something that isn't in this document. So here I have a PDF I had found. I can no longer find it online, but I would recommend getting the book. It's really cool. Universal Laws Never Before Revealed, Keely's Secrets, Understanding and Using the Science of Sympathetic Vibration, by Del Pond, featuring John Keely, Nikola Tesla, Edgar Cayce, and 7 others. As I just scroll through, I'm just going to show you all some illustrations here. Although a few of them are lopsided, it's a little easier when you see it in a book. But this is an example of some of Keely's charts. This was drawn up in 1886, and it is wild how he's trying to map all this out. You see, like single chord, angle of refraction, angle of propulsion. He's got this key of symbols down here: chord, A flat, first octave, chord of equation, quadruple chord, molecular aggregation, sympathetic chord of transmission. It's crazy stuff. Um, Scroll down a little more so you can see some. Yeah, there's another one that's wild. He's got like musical chords and their relationships with some of those mysterious symbols. And he was just doing his best to try to come up with new terms. He basically had to write his own dictionary of definitions to describe all the phenomenon and parts and doodads he was inventing. It's lopsided, but this is an image of Keely's compound disintegrator. Um, Important to note what we're about to go over. You'll see this apparatus on the side here. This is one of the key points this author, um, that we're about to read from, brings up, is this little apparatus is present in many of his photographs by his equipment. Um, there he is sitting next to some crazy machinery. See that little component down there again. And yeah, I'll just kind of scroll through here real fast. Um,
Yeah, hit me with the goods.
he
Don't. Yeah, hit me. I wanna get into some
Is
reading.
that the
Hit me with the
Tony Stark
goods.
arc
I don't
reactor?
want to just scroll through and do an overview, but get in there. If you got
All
something to
right.
show out of
So
this, or
yeah, so if I go to the bottom here, I just wanted to show you one of the main problems with his work is his charts, and especially as you read a lot of his writings, he uses a lot of really complex jargon there he is later in life. Yeah, these charts here, they're like alien sigils. It's crazy how he writes all these
Actually,
lines.
it
that looks
reminds
a
me of
lot like,
astrology.
yeah, it reminds me of astrology, and it reminds me of that alien writing from the Silicon Valley anti-gravity
Yep,
bit.
Ooh.
yep, you're right. A lot of musical relationships and chords, and he would write
Interesting.
out
Whoa,
what would dissociate some
it's like
elements.
Robert Edward
Uh,
Grant type shit.
yeah, it is. I just wanted to show you all that. It's pretty wild stuff.
What if the periodic table and the mathematical associations are supposed to look harmonic
They
with
are,
these
yeah.
types of
Can you look up
diagrams.
that
Yeah.
Is it Walter Russell? Can you look up his
Is this me
periodic
too?
table of elements
Definitely.
real quick?
Yeah, I actually have that. I actually have an image of that here. Here, I'll just
You can't just search your
be
computer.
quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think there's some like correlation right here. Yeah, see, look at
dude,
very
this is spot
similar right
on.
here. Like the
It's
harmonic relationships and harmonic ratios that exist
yeah, so
within, I guess you would say, physics, nature itself, uh, anatomy,
yeah.
chemistry, the periodic table of elements. There's harmonic relations that
Oh,
can be translated into music. Like I said, the periodic table of elements, whatever you want to call that, chemistry, like
check
the
it out. I actually
manifestation
got it
of
right here.
reality, the different ways reality manifests. Yeah, it's very interesting, and if you could plot that out, it should look musical or harmonic, right? It shouldn't just
Yeah,
look
yeah,
like a
he
table, like the periodic table. That's kind of a weird way to look at it, but
yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up. Walter Russell, he through the early 1900s discovered some radioactive isotopes that were unfortunately used for nuclear weapons, much to his dismay. But he plotted out this periodic table of elements, laying every element out with their relationships as harmonic octaves. He even proposed like pre-elements here. He's got hydrogen, but then he has within this octave ethlogen, bebigen, carbogen, luminon, helenon, hilionon. Um, those are
yeah,
undiscovered, but he
just going
proposed
based
they
off
would
math, that
exist.
makes sense. It's just like how we figured out moscovium or unobtainium, element 115. How it's predicted by
Yeah,
Bob Lazar. You know, the scientists predict that there should be more and less elements. We just haven't found them yet because
it's
we're in
amazing.
our sector of space. So we can extrapolate. So yeah, what's up? I mean, you're I
All
guess you're
right,
taking pilot of the show for the most part because you know the most, but don't we need to get into some meat and potatoes. We can't just
let's get into it.
give our
All right, I'm
opinions on
ready.
pictures. All right. What do we read?
All right. Um, so I hit start introduction. If you want, you can read the introduction. We can just kind of take turns here.
Hit start. Okay. Introduction. Alrighty. Let's do it. Whatever. Thank you. So, what am I doing? Introduction? Sorry, I just got some food delivered to me. That's why. Took my
Oh,
mind
you're
off me
good.
for a second. Papa hat. Papa
Likewise.
needs to eat. Papa ain't ate. See, look at Taychella over on the same thing, eating that Taco Bell. I
We're
I got some
at Taco
Freddy's.
Bell.
I
We
got
got
Freddy's.
the sauces.
Little Freddy's plug. Shout out to Freddy's Steak Burgers.
Great.
Um.
We're doing Raising Canes.
So yeah, I mean, we're just live streaming, and this is what we do. It just says friends will meet up together, eat food, drink beers, and just talk over cool shit. So I'm glad you guys could join us, all you live viewers out there. Don't forget to hit that like button so it helps get this information out there to the public, gets these light codes into people's brains, and hit that subscribe button so you are up to date with all the celestial information. So this is John Keely. We're reading this introduction, okay? This paper is an attempt to explain the discoveries of John Ernst Worrell Keely. You want to mute yourself, Taylor?
Yep.
This paper is an attempt to explain the discoveries of John Ernst Worrell Keely, 1827 to 1898, a 19th century experimenter. I will not go into the life and achievements of Keely to any extent. Such subjects are covered elsewhere. There is, however, a short biography included in the appendix. This paper assumes that the reader has a grasp of what Keely was about and what he was trying to do. Oh, shit. I don't. I shall confine myself to examining Keely's theories and experiments in the light of today's scientific knowledge and attempt to explain what Keely did in plain modern English, as far as that is possible. Alrighty. That's cool. I don't know that much. So, but you know, we figured out the universe, so how hard could this be?
Yeah, so that was part of the reason I wanted to show some of those illustrations at the beginning, just so you could get an idea of what the equipment looked like that he built, because he's going to be going over how he proposed it worked. But I feel like this probably is the best introduction to Keely, because anywhere else, if you read Keely's actual writings, it's so steeped in this hard to understand jargon, which we'll discover is because he was an organ builder. I guess organ builders in the 1800s had their own jargon. It was the most complicated piece of machinery before the invention of the nuclear reactor wasn't a musical organ. Um,
It looks very
and
complex, the machinery. It looks like he took a lot of time on these things.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. But and just by reading this, you'll get a good idea of who he is.
Okay.
But in general, he achieved apparently acoustic levitation, free energy, a machine that runs off water, all kinds of crazy stuff. The dissociation of elements.
What's up, Jude Jedi? Shout out to the chat. Nice to have you here. Cosmic sister or brother, or cosmic sibling. All right, let's jump into it. I first found out about Keely in the 1970s when I came across Clara Bloomfield Moore's book. I found it both fascinating and cumbersome. Keely's comments appeared at first inspection as pseudoscientific gibberish intended to cull huge funds from gullible investors. On closer inspection, though, a pattern emerged that in its logic and order, that in its logic, an order is equal to any scientific treatise, especially when one considers that the man was endeavoring to impart a sophisticated body of knowledge to a world that was still trying to come to grips with the steam engine. I was taken aback by one of Keely's comments when asked about his secrets. He said, "As to secrets, I don't have any." I believed him. I proceeded to look at his writings, what little there is left, in the light of seeing him as a man honestly trying to elucidate a monumental discovery to a world that simply wasn't ready for it. Modern science essentially holds that matter is held together by enormous electrical forces that can be interrupted by bombardment with particles, thus liberating energy. Yeah, like a nuclear bomb. This is certainly true for certain high unstable elements such as plutonium or uranium, but try doing it with lead. Yeah, right. You need extremely high energy.
Mm.
Based on his experiments in vibratory physics, Keely thought otherwise. Keely found that pure matter is highly unstable and that stability is the result of interference patterns set up by the interaction of different molecular groupings vibrating at incompatible frequencies. Lord Christ, I'm digging it.
Oh yeah,
I need to
oh
text
yeah,
Terrence Howard right now. Hey, bud,
right.
I got the wave conjugations right here. Oh,
Oh, it gets good.
that's dope. I like it. But that's how I also believe matter is just, yeah, interacting fields. And science even knows this because most of an atom is empty space. Like 98% of an atom's empty space. So, in a sense, they are just interference patterns or interacting fields.
That's right.
And that's how atoms evolve into elements, like H2O and stuff like that. It's when atoms get ionized and create like covalent and ionic bonds and create more complex molecules, those are literally just different acoustic or different, I guess, wave fields that attract each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
it
attractive
makes sense that
forces. Yeah.
yeah, it does make sense that the universe on the smallest scale would be harmonic and musical in nature. I mean, what is music? Why does it exist and why do we perceive it? And it's all
Interesting.
just mathematical ratios. But I mean,
You're
on
right.
the
What is
molecular
music? Why
level,
do we perceive it? That's a
yeah,
good question.
yeah, it's like an important thing that we understand and it like gives us pleasure when we hear harmonic overtones or something. But like on the molecular level inside of us, all those complex proteins folding and all that is just electric charges matching each other. But
Yes,
like,
exactly.
you know, on an atomic scale, it's a little more simple to understand, but once you get to the molecular level, there's like ratios of these electric charges and how they interact, and it's really music when you think about it.
And that's why them charts looking all musical. I like it.
Yeah, yeah,
Maybe that's what like an advanced planet, that's what their charts look like. They look
I
all
could see that.
musical. Well, once
Like,
we create our planetary HQ legacy complex, we're actually, that's the end goal. We're going to create our own little community, like a neighborhood. I mean, we have a water guy. One of our best friends is one of the managers for a water district and one of the most happening places in the United States. And getting water to a big amount of people is extremely important. But we will do this. I guarantee you, with a $50 by 50-mile square block or plot of land, we can build a civilization or a governing structure that is better than the current United States governments. I bet you that. I guarantee you we can do that. And
Oh
once you
yeah.
can prove that, you already know what's next. But I like that. And in those schools, our charts will be harmonic periodic tables of contents that are visually more accurate and appealing. Fundamentally, Keely's approach was simple. If you want to join that, you can, no problem. You can join the legacy today. You can join Planetary Headquarters. Hit us up. We got the app coming soon. And if you go buy yourself a shirt, you're going to contribute to Planetary Headquarters. Get your legacy number so you can check into the compound when the shit hits the fan. You got a little safe haven when the aliens attack. I'm just kidding. Those stupid jokes. Fundamentally, Keely's approach was simple. We know we can cancel a waveform by leveling against it the same waveform that has been inverted. Okay, that makes sense. Just a reverse wave, shoot it back at it.
Yeah.
So Keely set about doing just that. He identified the incompatible waveforms that interfered with pure fundamental waveform of the body under study. He identified the incompatible waveforms that interfered with the pure fundamental waveform of the body under study and proceeded to cancel them out by tuning the mass he operated upon to as a pure note. As a pure note he could manage, and an arrangement of acoustic resonators of opposite value to the incompatible frequencies that were left. What? Wow.
Dude, that's wild. And in the following pages, he goes into detail what a resonator is and how it works and all.
He identified incompatible waveforms that interfered with the pure fundamental waveform of the body. Okay, so there's incompatible ones and proceeded to cancel them out.
By tuning the mass he operated upon to as pure a note he could manage, an arrangement of acoustic resonators of opposite value, incompatible frequencies that were left. So basically, think about those noise canceling headphones.
Yeah, they just reiterated it again in a different way. So yeah, it's like noise canceling headphones, but for the body. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's wild. He called that his system of graduation. There is more to it than that, but for the moment it will suffice. The subject of graduation will be covered in greater detail in a later chapter. In his view, this created a state where all forces were held in perfect balance. On a finely balanced scale, no matter how heavy the load on each side, it takes only a minuscule amount of change on either side to disturb equilibrium. Keely reasoned that disturbance of equilibrium in the body under study could be influenced by changing the amplitude of selected sections in the fundamental pure frequency pattern. We know that a resonant body will accept energy at its own level of resonance, but rejects energy at frequencies far removed from its own level of resonance. This is also true for the harmonics of that fundamental frequency. That's interesting. By an arrangement of that makes sense. They're thinking of it as just energies, but I'm thinking about it when you're like talking to people. You know, their mind has a certain mental geometry and frequency, and if they're only caring about drugs, booty, and cash, if you try to talk to them about something spiritual, it's gonna tune it out because you're not talking to them on a resonant frequency. You can't speak their language.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got to meet them at their level, and then you start resonating, and then you can lift up from there.
It up. Yep. Damn.
Yep.
Nigga, what?
Good analogy.
This is fire. All right. By an arrangement of acoustic resonators, carefully tuned to the precise frequency of the harmonic he wanted to stimulate, he managed to achieve this. So far, we are still on safe ground as far as contemporary science is concerned. Though very much simplified here for the sake of readability, this is essentially what Keely did. What follows is extraordinary and not documented in any accepted scientific study that I am aware of. Hell yeah, Forbidden Scrolls, baby! Keely claims that by changing the amplitude of certain segments of the wave pattern, he could influence the cohesive forces between particles from an incredible denseness to complete disintegration. In other words, he believed he found a way to manipulate gravity. Keely vehemently claimed that bodies of pure concordant harmony did not exist in nature. Has he seen Michael yet? In fact, could not exist in nature, and that such pure states had to be induced by artifice, so the artificial. He further claimed
Yeah.
that this state had to be created before any manipulation could take place. Wow. The rest of his writings concern themselves with technical difficulties encountered in identifying effective frequencies and ratios of amplitude in order to achieve his specific effects. For our purpose, it is not necessary to examine these aspects here. Alrighty. Damn, this is getting nice. I like it. This is cool.
Diving in.
So he's
So-
pretty much saying like this dense reality down here isn't the true reality. And I'll take a
Yeah,
quick bathroom
based
break. You
on-
can explain to the viewers.
All right, so based on what we understand from Urantia book cosmology, you have this higher, pure state of absolute reality, pure mind, pure potential, and it's completely harmonic in its relationships. But down here in the material world, as things are conditioned through the subatomic particles, ultimatons, or whatever, as they're gradually built up into atoms and molecules and all that, nothing is really in pure harmony. And if something was in pure harmony, it would basically collapse. And so that is kind of fundamental to our reality, is that nothing is harmonious. It's kind of like the space in between atoms, because there is an inharmony there. Those atoms are able to exist as like their own quantized units, without just like everything morphing into each other, collapsing. And so he's basically finding a way to fight those physics, by carefully enclosing whatever's under study, let's say a drop of water, canceling out all the interfering waves, and he was able to disintegrate the substance in the process. So yeah, I'll go ahead and pick up here with Keely's difficulty. To appreciate Keely's problem, try seeing yourself in this scenario. Let us assume you live in ancient Rome, say around the time of Augustus. You have a scientific bend of mind, and you are
You should have, like,
investigating the
these
properties
two
of water.
random people in the live stream behind you. Like you left for a second, and it was just like these two random heads. He doesn't have his headphones and he can't even hear us.
They're gonna see this someday, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, I was on that
We're on
episode."
Planetary HQ.
Heron's experiments with steam, and you have vision. You know all there is to know for that period about metallurgy, engineering, and heat. Suddenly you have an idea. You conceive the steam train. All the principles of creating such a train are clear to you. You know exactly how it will work. Now try building one. How do you make steel track? How do you make pistons, wheels, valves, etc., etc.? And most of all, how do you get people to give you the resources to build one? If you can even get them to understand the usefulness of building a train. This is where Keely was at. In one way, Keely was lucky. He lived in a time where there were many backers of newly invented technology that hardly anyone understood. That the scientific community would oppose him was clear from the onset. That lot rarely accepts anything unless it is so obvious that it can't be ignored, especially when a new idea comes from someone outside that illustrious fraternity, as it almost invariably does. But this was not Keely's biggest problem. His main difficulty was that he was trying to build a helicopter with a stone axe. In this lies the explanation why no one we know of has been able to duplicate Keely's experiments to date. Hopefully, after this paper becomes known, this will change. In Keely's time, there were no oscilloscopes, computers, frequency generators, etc., etc. And since he essentially worked with sound, he had to rely principally on his ear, a few instruments, and his knowledge of harmonics, mainly understood by organ builders and musicians of his time. We know that Keely was a gifted musician, that he had an intimate understanding of harmonic interactions encountered in the building and tuning of organs is beyond dispute. His own writings and contemporary records show ample evidence of that. In the absence of waveform generators, transducers, loudspeakers, amplifiers, etc., the only way he had to transmit acoustic waveforms to a body was through the medium of harmonic resonance. This requires, apart from perfect hearing, an extraordinary amount of skill in building the required structure. Few people possess this to the degree Keely did. That he managed at all to build working machines is astounding, but to me at least, it is not surprising that no one to date has been able to duplicate what he did. But is all of this necessary? In my view, it is not. Not anymore, that is. We have far better ways of creating the conditions Keely sought than were available to him. But first, we must understand what it was that Keely actually built. I believe I know what he built, and I will try to impart my analysis as best I can on the following pages. Next chapter, Keely's machine.
You down to read the next chapter too?
Yeah, I'll keep going.
Because I'm gonna smash this burger.
Smash it! Keely's machines. Few photographs of Keely's machines exist, and there are only scant descriptions, but there is enough. One of the things that tells us more than perhaps anything else is that all Keely's machines, regardless of what they are, motor, disintegrator, airships, etc., follow the same pattern of construction. There invariably is some sort of hollow body that has an internal as well as an external arrangement of resonators. There is also a tiny opening through which a connection can be established, often by means of a tube or a wire made of silver, gold, and platinum. In later designs, he dispenses with this. It will become clear in a moment why. At the heart of Keely's system is what he called, in his earlier years, his compound disintegrator. I would like to stress here that this compound disintegrator is part of each and every machine he built, and I have knowledge of, with the exception, oh, that I have knowledge of, with the exception of his hydro-vacuo motor, which appears to be an oddity that has little in common with all his other designs. Even his so-called musical sphere contains the device internally, albeit in much modified form. This dispensed with the need of connecting the disintegrator with the motor by means of graduated wire of silver, gold, platinum, or by some other means, what we today would call a waveguide. The description of his compound disintegrator gives us essentially the blueprint to all of his machines, at least as far as the construction is concerned. So, a quick aside, in radio transmission towers, this is common practice to use something like a klystron, which is a radio frequency cavity, like an RF cavity. It gets you get something like an electron gun to send electrons through a vacuum channel. You get cryogenics to cool it down, and then you get this klystron or this RF cavity. It's basically a microwave that will pulse those electrons at a certain frequency, almost like a stoplight, like traffic going up, stopping at a stoplight. Then it all leaves in bunches, all the electrons, and those travel through waveguides. Um, and this is at the base of every big, massive radio tower, every radio station you listen to. They're using these principles. It's amazing. In the 1860s, this guy was describing all of these principles, and I think that lends some credence to the validity of his claims. The fact that he was describing actual science that wasn't well known at the time. He was obsessed with harmonics and music theory, and it becomes clear that he was onto something. Um, so we got an image here. So what then was this compound disintegrator? So the image on the left says the compound disintegrator, here depicted, opened up to show the arrangements of the interior components. Notice at the top the wire waveguide. And then on the right, here we see Keely's compound disintegrator in a levitation experiment. Notice the instrument sits on a zither, which has been carefully insulated from the table it is sitting on by high feet to prevent the transmission of unwanted exterior vibrations through the table into the device. The strings of the zither act here as external resonators, seen clearly in the photograph, the wire waveguide. Now, I got to show you something here because this experiment actually has been reproduced. Um, let's see. Yeah, here we go. Sonic levitation. So this person, G Sutton 78 on YouTube, what was it, 6 years ago, uploaded this video where they actually reproduced this experiment. What it was is you have a weight in a vial of water and a wire on top, which is the waveguide. And when you would transmit the frequency, the metal weight would start floating in the water. Simple enough. This person recreated the experiment using modern transducers and electric cables and function generators. Um, Set the frequency, and here I believe they have an egg and water, and it levitates as soon as he puts on the frequency. So that's a step in the right direction. You actually
Are you
can
gonna share your
reproduce some
screen?
of his experiments. Oh my god, my bad. I wasn't even sharing my screen. Go. Okay, so yeah, this was the experiment. You see the weight in a vial of water. The wire would be the waveguide, and it supplies an acoustic field into the water. The standing wave in the water causes the weight to start to levitate. And so this guy on YouTube 6 years ago set up a coil. He's got a transducer. He's got a hole set up here, setting his function generator, and got an egg at the bottom in this jar of water. And sure enough, as he applies
Whoa.
the frequency, the egg levitates. So that's an easily
That's in
reproducible
water?
experiment. Yeah, that's floating in water. And when he turns on the sound, this certain signal that's resonant with the egg, it starts to levitate. So it's amazing. It shows
So
that
it's a specific
through
signal.
the simple,
All
yeah,
not all signals will levitate the egg, just that one signal.
that's right. Yeah, it has to be resonant with the egg.
Whoa,
And I
that's
think because
trippy,
it's,
dude.
yeah,
That's
and I
Jake
think because
Barber,
it's
dude. That's the guy who's
right.
doing this experiment. It's Jake Barber.
You're right.
You're caught.
I think because it's in a jar of water or something like a block of wood and a carpet and all that, there's not much interference in there. And the water kind of acts as a medium that also prevents outside interference from getting in, so that pure frequency is able to
So
resonate with the
it's
egg, and it
using
starts to.
sound waves. That's a sound wave he's generating
Yeah,
in there.
yeah,
This
that's
could
right.
be
He's got a
used for like
transducer at the
industrial
top.
application.
Right? Can you imagine in a factory like stuff levitating to go through its process?
Yeah. Oh, that's wild. Is this guy alive?
Yeah, he's got a YouTube channel. We got to get him on and interview him
Yeah,
sometime.
dude, that'd be sick. I do want to interview him. That's tight. Good pool. Good pool.
All right, so back to this website here. Stripping away most of the resonators and all the parts that existed only to improve performance and make the device more reliable, we have this. And here's an illustration, which he'll go into. So what does it do?
Jude Jedi
According to
says, I
Keely,
think something like this helped create the pyramids. That's some good insight right there.
It's a good theory. I'm not going to put it down because there could be something to that.
Yeah, I like it. I think that makes sense. Coral Castle, the pyramids.
Coral Castle.
Maybe the ancients or the celestials that landed, they had to have known about this. So
yeah, there was that illustration of this what was it? He was this German scientist in the early 1900s that was studying this hidden monastery in Tibet, where these monks revealed to him their secret.
They can levitate. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He was a
You've
Nazi,
seen that,
I think, right?
I think so. And they he
you
wrote
forgot
it
to
all
mention
down.
that part. Forgot to mention he was a
Yeah.
Nazi.
Oh yeah, and there was that. Which is interesting. You know, the Nazis were all into that, creating their Die Glock flying saucer and all that. So I mean, who knows? So maybe the ancients did have an understanding of this. They would surround like a bunch of people with didgeridoos and horns and drums and create a resonance to lift something up into the air. Pretty interesting.
There's that crazy form of transcendental meditation where it's like yogic hopping or yogic flying, where they like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They go lotus position.
Could be real.
They go lotus position and then like hop up and down, and supposedly they can like float. I don't know.
I've seen videos of people faking that where they got like a long robe and they're sitting on a seat and you can't see the seat or something like that.
Got a long dildo and they're just fucking on it.
All right, so what does this do? According to Keely, all parts of the structure had to be tuned to a single note. Let us assume we build this structure by filing, etc., manage to tune it to a pure middle C. On tapping the structure, say with a wooden mallet, we would hear the note C. Let us also assume we have mounted 3 resonators inside and 3 outside, one of each tuned to C, E, and G. What is that? Sharp, flat? No, I don't know what that is. C, E, and G, all of them being harmonics of C. What happens now when we strike, say, the E resonator on the outside? Since E is a harmonic of C, the vibration would be carried, virtually without loss, throughout the structure, and the inside resonator tuned to E would resonate in unison with the outside resonator. In other words, what Keely did was to induce a specific frequency inside a hollow structure, cavity, by using the structure itself as the conductor and an external resonator as stimulant. In the light of knowledge of his day, there was really no other way of doing this. To achieve this effect, all parts of the structure had to be in perfect harmonic relationship to each other in order to work. A major scratch on the sphere, for instance, would change the resonant characteristics and make the whole thing useless.
Wow.
Everything would have to be graduated again in order to harmonize with the altered fundamental note. This was the biggest problem with Keely's machines. In my view, he could, with a lot of effort, make his machines work, but a commercial exploitation with the tools of his day was out of reach. Keely knew this. But Keely went further. So two things here. One, he kind of was a fraud, even if all of his equipment worked, because he was getting investor funding knowing that he couldn't create a commercially viable product because as soon as it went through shipping and packaging and the customer got their product and used it for a little, it'd probably break. And you needed like a
Perfect.
master craftsman to be able to repair it.
Like clockwork, like a clock master. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think the average person could have used something like this.
I mean, the guy just did it. You saw it.
That's right. Using modern technology.
Mhm.
Now for that time period, it was such a hassle to get something like this to work.
You're right. He
I
didn't
don't
really
think that
have.
would have been possible.
Did he have electricity back then?
Yeah, he did have electricity. It was
Just
like
barely came out.
rudimentary. Like, yeah, it was around that time. People were starting to run power poles, I believe. They had light bulbs,
Okay.
motors, and stuff like that. But it was all very rudimentary.
Yeah, and he didn't have computers.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a big deal.
Doing some mad calculations on paper.
Then that's crazy. So no computers. So this is all like mechanics. That's wild.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I wanted to mention here. So that is brilliant. He has a cavity that's suspended off the ground. The entire thing is like filed down to resonate with a perfect C note if you were to strike it with a mallet. And we find he learned this practice from organ building because every component of
Oh,
an organ is
wow.
tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like the pipe on an organ that makes a C note, every component attached to that has to also be like perfectly filed down to that. So
Wow.
that's where he got that practice from.
So this
Um,
is already a known science, kind of. He's just building off of it.
that's right.
So build
And
like a
in
big
the
organ pipe that's tuned to a certain frequency, and then you build these little things inside of it. That's wild. Okay.
That's right. And in the modern day, we really don't do this anymore. We don't have any like analogous practice. That whole art form of organ building has been lost. It would be something like fathers would pass it down to their apprentice sons, you know. It's still surviving in some parts of the world.
And
I wonder if the few remaining organ builders could understand Keely's work.
yeah, probably you're right. Like the ancient European Vatican organ
That's
builder
right.
family, they know the secrets of
That's right.
Keely that we do not talk about Keely. We're not. It's a Vatican secret.
Hidden in their like Freemason libraries or something like that.
But like
Um,
this, damn, you got my mind thinking about something else I forgot, but it'll come back up.
it'll come back up because basically here, like this whole structure of having this, the entire structure is what is conveying the energy rather than through wires or whatever. That's really unique. We don't use anything like that today, so
Mhm.
it does start to make more and more sense why no one has replicated this kind of equipment. We just don't do this stuff anymore.
Yeah, okay. You reminded me of what I was gonna say. That for the most part, we look at like reality and technology. We try to brute force our way through everything. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
technology has become all
you're right.
about brute force and not about harmonic precision. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
it's like people don't understand that there could be just a way of arranging things in the perfect, precise harmony,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden you
Yeah.
unlock a new time portal to reality, and all you had to do is place the crystals at a perfect 77 degrees from each other. Because, and look at planets, right? You can't have a Goldilocks zone on the planet unless it's perfectly in that harmonic region, just far away enough from the sun so that water is liquid and ice at the same time. It's all three: liquid, water, and gas. They call those Goldilocks zones or Lagrange points. When two celestial bodies have gravitational attachment, there's a certain point in between the two bodies that a satellite can go to and not have to use any gas. It's perfectly in between the two masses of the bodies, and it can maintain that orbit indefinitely without spending any gas. There's always like a perfect, precise point in between harmonic celestial bodies. And that seems to be the technology of the universe. It needs to be perfect harmony, and then you unlock like a secret aspect of reality, as opposed to us brute forcing electrons through computer chips to make a machine move. You know what I'm saying? Um, so I think he's
Absolutely.
tapping into this, like they would call it the sacred geometry of the cosmos, the underlying mental architecture of the cosmos. And just by creating these things that are, like two organ pipes that are perfectly the right shape, and then you can measure out exactly the amount of distance you can put away from each other, and they'll start resonating with each other and creating that standing
Yeah,
wave. And why? It's because there's exact geometries in time and space, invisible geometries that we can like tap into with these instruments. It's really cool.
I believe it. That's absolutely brilliant that you came to that conclusion because Del Pond, in his book, Universal Laws Never Before Revealed, Keely's Secrets, he talks about this. Walter Russell talks about this as well. Um, what they claim, it's a little esoteric, but they claim it's like in nature, there's a masculine force and a feminine force. The masculine force would be explosive, combustive, or centrifugal, as
Mm.
in like when you spin something around, it projects outwards. Whereas the feminine force would be implosive, consolidating, and centripetal, or like a whirlpool, something kind of sucks in. Um, our entire science is built on the kind of explosive projecting kind of force like you're saying, brute forcing everything, running
Yep.
electricity through wires, pistons, combustion engines. This is a whole different side of science that
Yeah.
we haven't even started to explore yet. It's kind of like yielding to those, like you're saying, those like almost sacred geometries of nature. It's like
Yeah.
falling into place, something that it just kind of naturally flows
Going with
when
the
you
flow.
arrange something just right.
Yep.
Yeah,
Going with the flow. Tapping in, tuning in into the light codes, baby.
got to
Yours
get those
too.
light codes.
Let's keep it going, baby.
All right, so
I can read that next chapter.
okay. Let's see. Did I get through this? I think I went, but Keely went further.
Mhm.
He managed to find notes in the spectrum where he could not only transmit harmonics of the fundamental, but also the discordant notes that were required without disturbing the fundamental frequency of the structure and still carry them to the inside of the cavity. I believe he found that the scale of B flat was most suitable for his purposes, since he constantly uses this scale for illustration. Keely, in essence, created a specific, complex waveform inside a resonant cavity, using the entire structure as a conductor for the waveform, relying on resonance alone. I seriously doubt that there are two people in the world today that can build such a device and make it work to the degree Keely
Okay,
did, even
relax.
if given a
She's
set of
she's
blueprints.
riding his jock now.
Oh, yeah. We know today about the power of cavity resonators. The entire microwave industry is relying on it. We are cooking with it, but hardly anyone notices the similarity with Keely's machines. But the question remains, what, if anything, did Keely invent? To answer this, we must look at the basic diagram again.
A great story.
What do we know happens inside the magic sphere of his uh, after the internal resonators are excited? Well, they emit a sound of some sort. Now what? Well, the sound would travel, bounce off the confining sphere until it eventually escaped through a hole or a waveguide. Sound familiar? Is there a
Oh
modern
yeah.
device that does something like this? You bet there is. D-Bake, you want to pick up from there?
It's called a laser. Come on, guys. You guys should have known. That was the first thought. I was like, duh, a laser. No, you're right. That is what a laser does. It just like it's a little chamber that kind of focalizes all the light into one specific point. Boom. Think of the Death Star.
Yeah, yeah. It like builds up, bouncing off, building up energy, and it finally escapes.
Hits
It's a pure
boom.
coherent beam.
Mhm.
Boom.
So you're just like concentrating the light and letting it out a specific point. So all that energy is no longer scattered. It's not diffuse, but coherent. Boom. Pretty
Mm.
tight. So she's claiming he's doing this with sound. What's funny is recently they did something. I think it was in, what is it, Germany or something, or Belgium?
Hmm.
Acoustic laser crowd control. You know what I'm talking about? In Serbia.
No.
In Serbia. Let's see, where is it?
Ooh. Jew Jedi says, God said, let there be light. In the beginning was a word. Sound analogy. The Aborigines believe that the deities created the universe with sound. That's why they play the didgeridoo.
Interesting.
Sonic weapon used in Serbia.
So you guys see this?
Yeah.
So if you see that video right there, you saw that big crowd that was in the street. They were
Yeah, and they
protesting. Then
disperse
all of a
like
sudden,
that.
there's a video with the sound. You hear it, it's like, "Bah," and it just gets fired down the
Whoa.
middle of the street. And people got like, I think they got like, maybe it's this one radiation burns on their skin or something just like messed up with their ear canal. Or some people started
Holy
puking.
shit.
I might be confusing this with a different other type of ray that we have, which is like an electromagnetic ray we have that'll microwave your skin that we have used. There's other videos elsewhere. But yeah, so we have this technology. I'll watch it one more time so you can see it. What the? Sorry, guys. Shout out to Ben. So yeah, there's a better video on it, but I just pulled that up real quick. To show
What that
everybody.
reminds me of is, have you heard of the Havana syndrome? I know you heard of this.
Yes, yeah.
The yeah, like CIA agents reporting being in another country like Havana, Cuba in particular, and they're in their hotel room and they'll just like freaking splitting headaches, their ears are bleeding or ringing or whatever, and
Some of their
start getting
skin got
sick and they have
burned.
to leave.
Some of their they got
Yeah.
radiate like sunburn. They had sunburn on their skin. Who was the guy that just went on Joe Rogan? The scientist. Um,
Oh, Nolan, Gary Nolan.
yeah, Gary Nolan. He just went on. Wasn't he the guy that was like the first person to get looked into Havana syndrome and that it might be a
I think
directed
you're
energy
right.
weapon? Yeah. So that's interesting.
I
So
haven't listened to that one yet, but
it's just some coincidences to kind of back up Keely to
yeah.
what is it? Rectify his name, clean his name.
Yes.
It's called a laser. Get the Death Star. Those of you that know all about lasers can skip this chapter. Okay, skip it. I've seen Star Wars. For those who don't, I'll quickly run through the principle. When you look at it, though it may sound very sophisticated, the technology involved is quite crude. It is a cylinder of some sort fitted at each end with a parabolic mirror, one of which has a tiny hole in the center. The cylinder may be a solid piece of synthetic ruby or a glass tube filled with some gas such as helium or a mixture of gases. There is a source of light mounted above or wrapped around the cylinder for efficiency. It looks like this. That's pretty easy.
Yeah, you can see the beam of light kind of bouncing around until it escapes as a coherent light beam.
So far, nothing exciting. Now what happens? Some of the light strikes one of the mirrors and gets deflected. Since the cylinder is filled with gas, or the thing is a solid piece of artificial ruby, like the kind of light that strikes the mirror is of a specific frequency. The kind of light, okay, yeah. What happens now is interesting. As I said, light strikes the mirrors and is deflected. Some straight into the other mirror. It starts to bounce back and forth until it eventually strikes the hole which is in one of the mirrors and escapes. Okay, now we have a beam of light coming out of a hole. A bit like a torch. So what? Well, the interesting thing is that the light coming out of the hole has properties that normal light just doesn't have, like melting metal, for instance. Now, do you see what I'm driving at? If you want, you can look up all that stuff about coherent light and what it does at certain frequencies. It's fascinating stuff, but I don't want to get into any further because it's not helpful here. The interesting thing is that by bouncing certain pure light waves in an enclosed cavity, as far as light is concerned anyway, back and forth, it eventually emerges as a new form of energy capable of influencing matter. Now, nearly all scientists today would question my use of the term new form of energy and argue that it is just good old light that has been aligned and thereby acquired new properties. Personally, I would argue against that. I would argue that their coherent light beams somehow influence what Keely called the triune stream, and that the effects are due to this. But be that as it may, I don't care what my colleagues would say. As far as I'm concerned, what Keely invented was the acoustic laser.
Boom.
Oh my gosh, dude. You want to know what that isn't?
It's a UFO for real, y'all.
It's not a UFO for real. It's a laser for real. But she gets it. She gets the idea. She's pumped up. It's not all that much of a mental jump. If we can get selected light bouncing back and forth and the resultant beam has different properties, why should it not work with sound? After all, both are just waves in their specific spectrum. It is my theory that the coherent light of the laser that is capable of inducing rapid molecular motion, example heat, the coherent sound of Keely was capable of inducing gravitic changes. Keely's problem was that apart from resonance, he had no other way of inducing specific waveforms inside a cavity, and that imposed restrictions that dogged him all of his life. We could easily do that with computer technology.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's interesting he mentions a new form of energy. The Urantia book talks about this, that our scientists haven't discovered all forms of energy on our world. And it drops little hints throughout the Urantia book about
I like it.
the value of harmony, how someone who understands harmony could change the entire world.
That makes a lot of sense.
All right.
That makes sense. Well, that's funny, actually. Recently I was talking about or learning about meditation, and it said like when you meditate, you empty the center of your mind, or you empty your personal space, and when you do that, you create like a empty chamber that's not being influenced by your own low earth thoughts, right? The distorted concepts. And when you do that, you reflect the universe. And the universe is ancient, trillions upon trillions upon trillions of years old, you know? There's been so many beings that have lived such great high lives. And every thought they've thought and feeling they've felt and problem they have navigated through gets recorded in the cosmic mind, in the stars. And when you empty yourself and your vessel, you start to, and you think a desire, your internal space will start to mirror what the cosmos is, and you will start getting imagery based off their life back in the past. It's because like if you give a desire for a certain problem, someone else who has gotten close to this problem or solved this problem elsewhere in the cosmos, even if it's 1 billion years ago, those images and thoughts and feelings will start flooding into you. That's the concept of the muse. You know, Albert Einstein would say that he would just think and do these thought experiments about problems for week in, week out, asking the question, and all of a sudden the universe would drop the answer into his mind. So like you're pulling energy from the cosmic mind. And right now I feel Keely talking to me, man. He says I need your attention, everybody. This just in. The New Jersey drones are now over New York, LA, and every major capital on the face of planet Earth. They keep repeating a message over the 6 gigahertz frequency band, and it keeps saying, Planetary HQ has cosmic garments for your mechanism. They can't hear us, no. In other words, we got that drip. Straight from the Galactic Federation wardrobe, these teas vibrate at the frequency of chill. Ribbed knit collars lovingly hug your neck chakra, preventing cross dimensions. Enhance your interstellar so perfect for Earth missions and beyond. Teams stabilize your style, ensuring it's aligned even when encountering planetary turbulence. Crafted from 100% classified heirloom combed and ring-spun cotton, this featherlight fabric breathes like you're cruising through the astral plane. Ideal for layering beneath your space cloak or relaxing at your Earth base. The tailored retail fit transitions seamlessly from casual earthling mode to I've got crystals in my pocket and I ain't from here chic, making it essential apparel for your rigorous interdimensional journey. So check out them shirts. We got a bunch of different colors. Link is in the description. Your contributions directly support spiritual operations on the front line in the battle for truth, beauty, and righteousness. With your help, we can help change the face of planet Earth, and we can look fly while doing it. Okay, now that we can fund the Black Budget Anti-Grav program, let's get back to the show.
Got that Keys of Enoch music playing in my head now.
You have two Keys of Enoch music? Oh, the sacred. The sacred.
Yeah, it's just stuck in my head now.
Yeah, everybody go check this out. It's a Sacred Names and Sacred Codes by Dr. J.J. Hurtak and Desiree Hurtak. J.J. Hurtak had the Enoch contact and wrote the Keys of Enoch. And these chants will unlock that vibratory field that is inside of you. I was thinking about it like this today because I got a new phone. Sick little phone. Got this Galaxy Note. It's like a Galaxy Fold 7. It's like a little tablet in your hand, dude. It's crazy. But I was thinking about the interface, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like, you guys know what a GUI is, right? Or a UI?
GUI? Yeah.
It's a user
Graphics
interface.
User interface?
Or a graphic user interface, right? And like, this is cool. That's like Android's one interface, iPhone's one interface.
That's so cool.
Your web browser's one interface. Everything has its own interface. Every application has its own interface. But you actually have an internal holographic interface. I would call it
I like
a
where you're
HUI.
going with this.
And it's the way to interface with the cosmos. The interface is with holographic images. So you can access this cosmic mind that exists in the cosmos. And because we're a byproduct of ancient creator gods, we are an ancient biotechnology, a divine light technology. God himself created us. We have this internal holographic user interface. So use it. That's all I'm saying. Use it. Understand that there is divine light technology embedded, pre-installed within you already. If you don't know about it, it's going to be hard to tap into it. So now you know about it, and start unlocking the light codes, dog.
If you don't use it, you lose it.
And go get yourself a shirt. We got the shirts live right now. Every time you buy a shirt, it contributes to help other people hit their mind, body, spirit potentials. We are trying to get this app out so you can track your mind, body, spirit progress, and you can help, or I guess you can expedite that process by linking up with other people to grow your mind, body, spirit. So buy yourself a shirt and you will support that endeavor. I guess let's keep reading. Stay chill, falling asleep, or can you read?
I mean, I'll have to pull up the PDF of my phone.
That's cool. We got it.
I can
Yeah, we
try.
can keep going. I got to show you this, though. So I'm sharing my screen right now. D-Bake, you were just talking about meditation and clearing your mind to induce a more harmonic state. Well, here in this PDF I have of this book, there's an illustration. I went ahead and rotated it. This was something drawn by Keely in 1886. Drew an illustration of the brain and all these symbols showing different parts of different lobes of the brain and their harmonic counterparts, I guess. It's got like B flat.
Oh, I think I see an
Yum.
Avi lobe in that collection.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
What is that? Is that part of the brain
aliens
all
are-
full of disinformation?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he had this whole theory of how the brain uses harmonics to communicate back and forward, and that kind of ties in with the holographic universe theory. Our brain encoding information in a sort of holographic way, and in this sense, there's like harmonic relationships between each part of the brain.
Well, it
And
lines up with the
it would make
gateway
sense that
papers and the keys of Enoch with
yeah,
that standing wave with your cytoplasm in your cells, but also with your brain juice. You know, you can resonate your cranium's a cavity, then you can resonate the juice. Your brain's literally floating in brain juice right now. So if you can resonate those little spots that he has labeled on the outside of that diagram, maybe you can create that somatic harmonic standing wave
Yeah,
within
yeah.
your brain juice, and then you start channeling the gods.
Boom.
Profit.
Yeah, it's really
Step 3, profit.
profit. Yep.
Okay, so I'll keep it going.
All right.
Keely's secret. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to get yourself a shirt. Look fly while doing it. Keely's secret. 2 major questions remain. Did Keely have a secret, and did he commit fraud? In spite of what I have said earlier, the answer to both these questions is unfortunately yes. Let me reiterate that there is no doubt in my mind that Keely's machines did work. Over 1 million people saw over the years his motor run on a number of trade shows, exhibitions, and demonstrations. He was never caught in a fraud, and his machines were carefully examined by a number of experts on many occasions. To say that his motors were operated by compressed air, secret springs, and so forth is ludicrous. Such an arrangement would have been obvious to even a casual observer. The secret and the fraud lies elsewhere. It must have been obvious to Keely fairly early on that even though he could get his motor to run, it would never be able to perform any actual work. Keely's motor, the way it was designed, will never be more than an expensive toy. Let me tell you why. Because his system relies on resonance alone, all the component parts of his equipment have to be in perfect harmonic relationship for each other to work. Even the most carefully tuned musical instrument will detune after a while, whether it is played or not. This is true even for pipe organs. Changing conditions like temperature, humidity, external vibrations, dirt, minor structural damage, etc., bring about a rapid deterioration of the carefully arranged harmonic relationships and render the structure discordant, a fatal flaw in Keely's machines. Well, I mean, he just didn't have good enough technology.
Yeah.
Keely had no feedback system that could compensate for these changes. The technology of his day did not allow for it. Only careful manual retuning would render the apparatus operable again. Outside vibration would wear Keely's biggest enemies. Outside vibration and wear were Keely's biggest enemies. That is why we see in Keely's demonstrations evidence of the infinite care that Keely took to avoid the accidental introduction of discordant vibrations through, for instance, the engine mounts, etc., etc. If, for instance, a jackhammer had been working in the vicinity of his machines, his motor would at once have come to a standstill. It had to. Keely demonstrated the starting and stopping of his motor by producing a single chord on a violin, harmonica, or zither. Oh, interesting. That sounds a lot like the Bet sphere. If you remember that little sphere that was found, the UFO sphere that was found in the 60s or
Yeah.
70s that was taken by the Navy and never given back to the family. Every time they played a guitar around it, it would start like floating and rolling.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Keely
So,
sphere.
yeah, the Keely sphere.
What if it was? It's just been floating around this whole time up in the atmosphere, and people are
Oh
like,
my God, it was one of
they
Keely's
see it.
inventions after he
Yeah,
died.
it's just been lost up in the atmosphere.
That'd be sick.
Every time someone sees it, they're
Is
like,
a UFO for real, y'all?
Exactly. And that's what the Boogosphere is too. Damn.
it's just
Please,
Keely's
it's a
rocket pit.
UFO for real.
UFO, bitch.
It absolutely amazes me that no one in his time noticed that this was a fatal flaw in his design. Real work situations are always filled with uncontrollable sounds and noises. Many of these noises, like hammer blows, grinding noises, bumps, and so forth, are rich in harmonics, some of which would have been picked up by Keely's ultra-sensitive equipment, throwing the carefully arranged harmonic relationships out of balance and stopping the mechanism, or sending it into an uncontrollable spin, perhaps even exploding it. I feel that many acoustic bombs. I feel that many of the explosions that dogged Keely all of his life were due to the influence of uncontrollable extraneous vibrations. Damn. Even the addition of a drive shaft, gearbox, or pulley to one of his motors would have introduced waveform that made his equipment inoperable. Keely had to know this. That is why his later research is concentrated on airships, such structures not being so susceptible to the influence of extraneous vibrations. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Maybe because it's in the air.
But
It's not surrounded by noise.
That's the main thing about airspace is like trying to figure out how to take
Yeah,
away vibrations when you're flying.
you're right.
Uh,
All the turbulence and all
yeah,
that.
whatever. That was it's whatever. That was Keely's secret, and at the same time, his fraud. Had he admitted that, his funds would have dried up immediately, possibly landing him in goal. What? Whatever
Jail,
that means. Jail? Yeah.
maybe typo.
They call it goal in some weird like European country.
Go.
Many of his frustrations have disappointed. Many of his frustrations and disappointment can now be understood, and even his victories and monumental discoveries must have been tainted by the knowledge that his superb machines, even at best, would be little more than an interesting scientific experiment that could only be demonstrated in a carefully controlled environment. Keely was once asked what he wanted for an epitaph. His answer truthfully and accurately described the way he felt about himself. He said, Keely, the greatest humbug of the 19th century. So, where does all this
Poor
lead?
guy.
Does that mean that Keely's discoveries and inventions are doomed forever to be nothing further than a scientific curiosity? If that, no, it does not. In time, Keely will be vindicated. His findings will eventually be the foundation of a new way of looking at the universe.
Ooh,
Woo!
amen to that.
That's a good way to do it. Um, we are coming up on an hour and a half, so I think we should pick it up. Pick it up next week.
Yeah, you can do that.
Take a little break, and maybe if Tate Chilla takes a nap, he says you might want to go live again later. We'll see what's up. You
Yeah,
awake over
sounds
there, or is
good.
he actually asleep? Do we have Tate Chilla live asleep? Oh, that'd been sick if you did. Sleeping on love. But yeah, that was Keely. That's Keely Tech. We're about I don't know if we're halfway through, but we're a couple pages in. I hope
Like
you
a
guys
quarter of
enjoyed
the way.
this story. This is the first time I've encountered it. I am liking it so far. It is lining up with a lot of the stuff I'm already believing. And maybe this tech was incorporated into some black budget programs. And that's why every single Google page is saying that it's a fraud, it's a hoax, because this could be
Yeah,
a
yeah.
viable technology. So, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Do you want to give some words of power before we leave? So, Magma, if you got anything.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this document only gets better and better, so definitely stay tuned. Keep an eye out for part 2 because it's gonna get good. Um, keep pursuing the truth. There's a lot of very valuable information that's been lost to time, and it's up to us to unlock the true meanings of the universe. And that's what we're here to do. So, thanks for being with us.
Hell yeah. You got anything, Taylor?
Yes, I do. So this weekend I met somebody and we got into a conversation and we got an episode coming. I filmed it
Nice.
and she was talking about, she gave me a light picture and it was about actually thought form resonance, but the terms resonance in terms of physical sciences helps us understand thought form resonance. And we need both of these things to understand John Keely, apparently. So the concept of resonance here is that picture a guitar and you strum one string and now the air pressure, it's propagating through the air pressure is now changing, and your ears kind of pick that up and turn it into an electrical signal. In fact, I guess you could say your eardrums are actually like little flaps of skin that are resonating alongside the change of the air pressure, right? So see how resonance is a transfer of information even to the human body. Now also think,
Ooh.
as I strum one string, the string next to it is actually beginning to resonate with that initial vibration from the first string. And so see how it's also like, drop a stone in a pond and the waves go out, and that affects the pressure, the closed pressure system in the lake, in the body of water there. So yeah, I guess that resonance concept is just sort of what's sticking with me, and imagining how he created complex machines in total resonance. Um, and I guess to bring the thought form part into it is we talk a lot on the channel about cosmic values like harmony. And if you are intending to embody and manifest harmony, then by thinking of that thought form and activating it, it's like strumming a string, because harmony is a note on the expression of infinite intelligence expressing in the cosmos through thoughts. Harmony is one of the notes. And when we activate that, not that note goes out and propagates and starts to affect other people, other minds, and that's the concept. That's the light picture. So hopefully
Beautiful.
you can take those words of power and repeat John Keely's experiments, and let us know if you do. And be safe out there. Don't get abducted by the scientific elite.
Yeah.
Don't get Epstein. No, that's a good one. To riff off what you're saying, because you're giving me mental pictures, and going more off what he's been saying in the entire paper, the harmonics, the standing wave, creating harmonic resonance. Like you said, it is a way for information to get transferred. Like your analogy of the airwave going to the flap of skin in your eardrum. Now, let's bring it up on like a cosmic level, like you said, channeling these higher energies. Let's think of the entire universe in your mind right now. Think of the entire universe as like a cosmic bank of pictographs or a mind bank, okay? Like one big cosmic hard drive, everything's saved within this cosmic memory bank of pictograms, okay? How do we access this bank? Like I said 100 times, you are more than what you think you are. You are an ancient divine technology. You are an ancient biotechnology that's made by creator gods that have been around for trillions of years, and you're created for a divine purpose, for interfacing in the cosmos. Now, just like a computer has a graphic interface, you can interface with the cosmic memory bank. And your interface is a holographic interface. It's your mind, it's pictures, it's the thought forms that drive you forward in life, the achievements that you want to go after, the person that you may like or whatever. See, when you think about those stuff, those are very vivid and strong thought forms. Those are what drive men and women. Those are what propel us through life, okay? Those are very strong, very important. Now, what we're saying is in the ancient cosmic memory bank, there are pictures, pictograms, ideograms, thought forms that are ancestral to the cosmos, primordial. They existed back before our universe existed, and they existed with God in the ancient beginnings, in the ancient past, before the cosmos was created. Those pictograms, those pictographs, those ideographs, those concepts, those are love, integrity, teamwork, perseverance, discipline. The list goes on forever, all the positive things. There are beings that have lived according to those values trillions upon trillions of years ago, okay? And when you use your internal holographic interface, you are not only channeling their energy because they've lived lives before you, but you're tuning in directly to the source. You're now creating a standing wave. You're resonating with the first source of the entire universe. And just because you're separated from it doesn't matter. The first source is strong enough to capture your harmonic resonance field, and you will create that information data transfer connection link because the Father is so strong. He has the ability, no matter how far you're away from the center of the source. So it's not like you can't get these transmissions because there's too many asteroids in the way. It's not like you can't get the transmissions because there's too many planets in the way, because those aren't even a factor. It's more like you're not tuning in to the right frequency. You are not creating the correct frequency so that you resonate with the source pattern. And the source pattern is strong enough to pick you up even if you're in the deepest, darkest outskirt part of space. So just remember that. Just like we're talking on a small scale here of two resonant frequencies that link up, like when atoms create new elements, you have that ability within you with your mental pictures. That is your divine like technology interface with the cosmos. So access it. Access it. Go feast on the divine light pictures. They're fucking good, dog. Don't forget to get that A1 sauce on top of it, though. Planetary HQ, D-Bake the Wise. I hope you guys enjoyed this Keely episode. We'll bring it back probably the next couple weeks. Peace out. We love you guys.